Hello, trading has closed on April 13th, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, and then make some predictions. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, April the 14th, 2022. Remember, I can be wrong, and any trade one makes should be at one's own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low, which this is. Tends to be a rally day with a high and a final hour. So that's the normal pattern. We had a target of 44.3722, which is a support resistance area. And that printed. I said I was a bit leery of higher targets in this environment, but rules are rules. Tomorrow's pattern should also have the early low. We do have a new target, 43.9701. Ultimately, it should print. There's no time limit, but usually you don't have to wait more than 2 or 3 days. And usually and always aren't the same thing. During the day, we got an ultimate sell signal in the morning that has not yet played out. We got a buy signal as well. It's not unusual for the system to generate both higher and lower targets as it did in the morning today. And certainly that buy signal worked. This drop was called false. Said price would retrace, overtake this white line, which they did. Please notice that while the drop we had yesterday was an impulse, this one is overlapping and is therefore corrective. Also, the angle of descent here is far steeper than the angle of ascent here, all of which is compatible with down still being the major move here and this being a counter trend rally. Doesn't mean it has to stop here, but so far it hasn't accomplished anything. Here's your high. We just stopped where this gray line shows you where the lows of the prior consolidation, but at the close, the dotted line, we couldn't hold them, couldn't hold any of these prior highs. So as of now, we're still having higher highs and we're still having lower highs and lower lows. That could all change tomorrow, but until it changes, as far as I'm concerned, the main trend is down. I'm having us with wave gray B here. You can see if you look at the daily chart that today's action was just backing and filling after yesterday's decline. Now, of course, if we gap up and keep going up, that's not true, but that hasn't happened yet. So far it's just backing and filling with lower highs, lower lows. This was the count that I had. You could argue that's A and that's B and that's C. It certainly doesn't break any rules. But there really isn't a Fibonacci relationship between C and what could be A. There doesn't have to be, but it happens often enough so that it pays to look for other ways to count this, of which I'm certain there are an innumerable number at this time. Let's look at a different count. This count says the 5 waves for just wave 1, with this being an ending diagonal triangle, counts it as an A, a B, and a C, and wave A and wave C are exactly equal. So that's another way to count it. Doesn't make it the right count, but if it is the right count, we have an ABC, C equal to A, and this becomes a candidate for the end of wave 2. If it's the right count, which we don't know at this time, if it's the right count, we'll start an impulsive move down tomorrow. If it isn't the right count, then we'll have to look for something else. But if we start an impulse down, we should get a pretty good drop, probably bigger than this wave black 1. You won't know that until we see how we open tomorrow. Tomorrow's pattern has the early low. We could still gap up. There's an ultimate sell signal that targets 43.9701 as the minimum and usually offers more on the downside. Nothing requires it to print soon, but more often than not, prints within a few days after being generated. Today's rally, strong as it was just a retest of the lows of the prior consolidation. Prior highs held, and the angle of the leg down was far steeper than the angle of the leg up, implying down's the main move. Bulls need to push this advance higher. If we stop right at today's high and begin a strong move down that counts well as a wave 3 to the downside, and those can be impressive things. So if you're a bull, you want to go over this high, and I'm not saying it's impossible. But if this holds, and we start down with conviction, then it should be a long way down, with today's high being a reasonable stop. So tomorrow has the early low. It's important to see if this high holds or not, and that's today's call.